Hey everyone, today we're painting frescoes! So I started off by painting my blank white canvases like a dark gray color. And I actually went with some old house paint we had lying around, so I've got a little sample container there. And the color is called Calligraphy, and it's by Behr. And so you can just get a little sample of it at Home Depot, I think sells Behr, for $4. So pretty good deal. And I'm happy to finally be using this paint. I've had it for like 2 years. And it's a really like dark kind of bluish gray, which is the color I was after. I actually started with a different acrylic color and I didn't like it, so I painted over with this. And I went with like a dark color because I really want the plaster with the paint in it to really like pop and stand out. And I'm just never been a big fan of like blank white canvas. So for your plaster, what I would recommend doing is not what I'm doing here. And I would suggest buying dry plaster mix, which is called Plaster of Paris. Kind of like when you're in elementary school and had to make like paper mache projects. But that way, because it's a dry mix, you can make it as thick or as thin as you need to. Versus this plaster I bought pre-made, and it just felt a little too thin with how I wanted it to kind of like glob onto the canvas, if you will. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing my plaster with cornstarch, and you could also use flour, but you've got to be really careful using food because it's foodstuffs and of course has a chance to go bad. So again, get Plaster of Paris dry mix and you can make it as thick or as thin as you want to, and you know it won't go bad or anything. So I'm just mixing the paint into my cornstarched plaster, and to kind of like load, I had to look up a video of how to do this, but to like load the palette knife, I like scrape the back of it against like a thin layer of plaster a few times. And that kind of like loads the palette knife for you and also like rounds off the plaster. So like makes it smooth onto your knife. But like I said, I had to watch a video about it. So feel free to like Google a video on how to like properly load your palette knife with plaster. Because this section is all about all of the trials and errors. And this is a nice clean canvas right now, and it is about to get so janky. Yup, right there. And so what is cool about this is it is pretty forgiving. Like you can just scrape your plastic back off, and then the leftover plaster scrapes off pretty easily. And then what I did later was I just painted, once my plaster was all on there and I had the design I wanted, I just painted back over with that calligraphy color, and you really can't tell. You'll see the end result of this canvas in a little while, and you can't see the mistakes, which is nice. Just the new ones I made after the fact. And so like I said, to like load the knife, which I'm not doing here because I didn't know how to do it, I just kind of rolled the back of the plaster knife against like a thin part of the plaster that's on my plate. And so just kind of like rolled it on a few times, and then even went the opposite way a little bit, and it makes a nice smooth like blob on your plaster knife. And then so when you apply it on the canvas, it applies a little bit more evenly. But again, and so fast forward, and after trying to start in the corners several times, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna start in the middle. And so that's what I did. And I'm just kind of winging it. I didn't really know like the designs I wanted to do or anything. But for this one, I guess, going for like a flower shape, I suppose. Like these are kind of like petals. But I've got my like loading technique good, decent. And the plaster is going on nice. It's as thick as I want it to be, the right color. And then see, you can still just like scrape it off. And then later on, I painted over all these like pink like dabs everywhere. And it looks fine. And I'm even like, this is like wrong too, what I'm doing, or like where I ended up not wanting it. So it is, as much as it doesn't look like it's forgiving, it is pretty forgiving, which is nice. It's a fun project, and you get like messy, you kind of feel like a kid again. It's really cool, actually. So this one kind of turns into, like I said, like sort of a flower. I haven't quite decided if since it's done now, if it's a flower or a comet or a firework. So I leave it up to like visual interpretation, because as we all know, art is very subjective, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? And then you're gonna like run out of plaster, so just like fill your plate back up or whatever you're using to mix some more back up, and just keep going. And I used 3 different colors. So I've got 3 different plates. I know, crazy, isn't it? And just kept like reapplying to each of those same plates and haven't run into any problems. They're just like little paper plates. And so when I finally got like a good rhythm going, like I felt a lot better about it. Like it looks okay, not how it does in my head, which is of course immaculate. My execution's always a little bit off, but hey. And so, like I said there, I lost the rest of that footage. Like my phone just died, and I was like, well, all right. So here is my second painting I'm working on. So the flower, comet, firework one is done. And so this one I'm slightly more confident in, and I don't think I had to like scrape up any of the plaster on this one, or at least I didn't want to, so I didn't. So that felt kind of nice. And this one I'm doing like, I don't know, rounded shapes. At the end it kind of turns into like sort of like a flower rainbow, I guess. You'll see. But really it's just like do whatever you want is kind of what it is. Like I don't have like any other than any advice, like all the errors I've made and like hopefully you can avoid, like learning from me and my mistakes. Like just, I don't know, just like whatever you feel like doing, like just go for it. Like I don't know what I'm doing here, but like I got these 2 nice curve shapes and I was like, hell yeah. Like they actually turned out pretty okay. And then by the end it was still okay. And so each one of my canvases, and I still have to make my 3rd one actually. I've only made 2 still at time of recording. I'm doing like the same like color palette, which is like that blush dusty pink, the teal, and then like kind of a mustard yellow. Like I've always liked those 3 colors together, and I think they're pretty popular right now in terms of putting them together. I'm sure I've seen plenty of stuff on Instagram using that color scheme, but sometimes I don't pick very good colors, and like whatever I'm making ends up kind of ugly. So I was really happy that these colors worked, at least to me, but it's also going in my house, so whatever. And this one, like the petals ended up like going on like close together because I don't know how to space things correctly. And so I overlapped a little bit and just decided to like keep on with that trend for like the rest of the piece, so it looks more intentional than it actually was, which was completely accidental. Accidentally on purpose. And so whenever I mix the yellow, that's kind of what I decide to do. Like I keep like going over. And I decided to do 1 row of pink. I wish I had done 2 rows, but that's okay. And then 2 rows of teal, and I think I do 3 rows of yellow on the bigger spiral here, and then just 2 on the little one, maybe 1 or 2. We'll see what I do, because I've already forgotten. I made this a few days ago. So who knows. What is really nice about this project is like how few materials you need, but it looks like overly complicated, like you have a real art studio or something. I'm sitting in my sunroom in here, but all you need is the plaster, canvas, paint, and the palette knife. That's it. You know, that is it. It's really, really nice. And all those things are super affordable. Like, I got all of my supplies at Walmart is what I did. And I think total it was about maybe $30 because I got a 5-pack of canvases because I wanted to do 3 on my wall. So it was cheaper than buying 3 individual canvases. And I think I got 16 by 20 inch canvases. So pretty good size, you know, and then 3 of them together will be really nice and striking. But yeah, so I'm doing the 3 rows of yellow on the larger rainbow, I guess. And I think I just do maybe 2 here, maybe 1. I forget. How terrible. How terrible. It's literally in the other room and I could just go look, but that's fine. The surprise is fun. The surprise is fun. One row it is, I guess. And then I decided to fill in right here a little bit with the teal. I wish I had gone all the way down in rows, but I didn't. So I filled it in with teal, as you can see, but there it is. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not like super professional or anything, but I think it looks really cute. It'll be a fun statement piece on the wall, and you can say you made it yourself, you know?